Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so happy to have Steve Lassman, the Vice President of Villas of Distinction, here to chat a little bit about that segment, a little bit about the market in general. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time and jumping on with me here today.
Daniel, love it. Always a pleasure. It's not our first time. Hopefully, it won't be our last time together. So,
Exactly.
always a pleasure to talk to
Um,
you.
I want to sort of start off with just a picture of what the luxury market looks like right now. We're in the end of March, wrapping up Q1. I know there's a lot of stuff going on geopolitically. There's a lot of stuff going on around the world. I'm curious, from your point of view, what is the demand like in the luxury market? Are you seeing sort of this continued strong demand that we saw the last couple of years? Are you seeing any softness? What are you seeing?
You know, I know we talked a little bit before we got on screen about how the year started a little bit slow, and then like on January 13th, it was like somebody flipped the switch and turned on the demand for the villa product. We have seen a tremendous first quarter. As we head into the end of that first quarter for bookings, it has been very strong. Many of our destinations very strong. There are obviously with any year to year, some stronger than others, some weaker than others. But overall, the demand has been quite strong, and the travel agents are doing great. We're seeing the booking window elongate too, which is really nice to see. We're booking into 2026, which, as I know, some of the times that we spoke during the past or during the pandemic and everything, where that window was really short, where people were calling, I got to get away next week. We're seeing that elongate, which is good because it allows us the opportunity to really create that better experience when you have more time to really focus on what the client is looking to experience. And we're also seeing, a an average selling price that's going up as well. Now, granted, you've seen, some of the rates raised in certain areas, but it's not all rate increase. It is definitely people that hate to use the term upsell because that's not what
Hmm.
either one of us, when I say either one of us, the travel advisor or ourselves is looking to do. We're still trying to find the perfect villa for the experience the guest is looking for, but we are seeing a very nice increase in the average selling price. We're seeing an increase in the number of bookings. Obviously, because the number of bookings go up, the average selling price goes up. Obviously, revenue goes up. But yeah, it's been a very strong market. Festive
That's good.
has been very strong again. Festive being, the Christmas New Year's period. We're seeing very strong December right now. So yeah, everything looks great right now.
That is really nice to hear. It's also really nice to get that point of view from someone like as a unique company as well as Distinction is. So I really appreciate those insights. Steve, so I speak to a lot of people within your segment, and something that comes up pretty consistently is how important concierge services on the ground are for clients. And I was curious if I could get your perspective on that. What kind of value does that add to these vacations, these bookings? Like you just spoke about the demand. Like I'm curious how big of a component the concierge services are.
Well, I think it all goes hand in hand because I think, in the villa world, especially over the last, like 5 to 7 years, the consumer's awareness of the villa product, obviously these do-it-yourself sites like, the
Yeah.
Airbnbs, HomeAways have created a lot of spotlight on it. And I think what has happened is because of that, consumers are more aware and consumers understand the value that the travel advisor brings. So you take that into account, and then we start talking about, we meaning those of distinction of the travel advisor, start talking about the experience more than where are you putting your head at night. And I think what's really happened is, so the consumer now is going, oh, I've never really thought about the experience as much as I've thought about where I want to stay. So by having that concierge service and working with the travel advisor, we are really focusing on, well, what is the experience you want to have? And what we're seeing, and I know you and I have talked about it in the past, with the family getaways, but the celebration travel. I literally was on a call yesterday with a travel advisor who had a brand new client who was going to Mexico, as it turns out, to a beautiful 12-bedroom villa. And the experience that this client wanted, because it's there, she's celebrating her 50th birthday, and she's taking away all her girlfriends. And the most important part of the process was the food. and menuing with the chef, what they wanted to prepare, how many, what the meals were, what the snacking was, what the drink choices were. So for her, the only thing that was important was the food and beverage. But, we did a corporate retreat in January, actually at the same villa. And what was important to them were more about experiences. Yes, of course, the food and beverage is always important, but working with the travel advisor, setting up, the DJs, setting up fire dancers, doing mariachi band coming to the villa, going to the cenotes, doing a private sunset yacht cruise. These are things that are becoming much more important. And the travel advisor, I've seen over my years in doing this, is much more deeply involved in the whole process with the consumer, because the consumer is definitely getting more educated um, as time goes on, because obviously the internet, and Pinterest and Instagram and
Yeah.
people putting what they're doing, everybody's like, oh, I want to do that too. So it's really gotten down to deciding what does Daniel want when goes away, and not, here's what everybody's doing. So the concierge service is definitely a key component in what we're doing.
Yeah, and I know not every segment allows this level of personalization or customization that villas and villas of distinction might offer. So it is interesting to hear your perspective on how that personalization sort of lends itself, what kind of impact that has on the customer
Mhm.
experience and the customer loyalty and the customer relationship with the travel advisors. That's really nice to hear. I'm curious, Steve. Like you mentioned a few things. You mentioned the fire dancing, the sunsets, things like that. Are there any unusual or overlooked things that concierges can do, or maybe have done during your time of Real Distinction that you think would be interesting for advisors to hear about?
To me, I mean, anyone could think of, like we mentioned, those items, or having a cooking class, or having a private sommelier come in and do a wine tasting, a tequila tasting, spa treatments in the villa, art classes in the villa. That's not what really I think is most memorable. Yes, they're amazing, but what I always tell advisors, it's the little things. Okay, it's the
Okay.
little things that people sometimes overlook. Examples, we do a lot of like 50th anniversaries, 50th wedding anniversaries, and you do all of these things, creating all these great experiences. But what I found has been the most impactful is when you get from the travel advisor, you get the pictures from the wedding. So when people are going away and you put the wedding photos throughout the villa, of the wedding party, people remember those little things, or putting a little note in each bedroom, knowing something about each one of the guests. So a travel advisor can say, Daniel likes, I don't know, you like peppermint patties. So maybe a little note with peppermint patties in your bedroom. But in my bedroom, I like Hershey's with almonds. So a little note with Hershey almonds in that bedroom. It's the little things that count. And that's the thing I want travel advisors to always remember. And when I talk to travel advisors, after they make their booking, I say, if there's anything that's really special that we need to know about a travel advisor, even if it's like you're going away, Daniel, with your wife and your family to celebrate a wedding anniversary or whatever it is, what's your wife's favorite song? Wouldn't it be nice to walk into the villa and have that song playing when you walk into the villa? That to me, it means much more to somebody than, oh, look, we had a mariachi band come, we
Yeah.
had fire dancers come, because you really took the time to personalize it to the guest. That's the stuff I think that gets overlooked more than anything with the concierge services.
Yeah, that is really nice. I mean, I think it's also a lesson for child advisors of how personal you can get, or how
Mhm.
those little details makes such a difference, and how personal those little details can be. I think that is so nice, and something I kind of had the fire breathing people in my head when I was asking that question, but really really interesting to hear.
There's
So
nothing
Steve, I
wrong with the
know
fire breathers.
there's nothing wrong with the virus. I don't want to let you go without sort of just asking about what's new with Villas of Distinction in general. I know there's always new stuff. There's always new initiatives and programs that travel advisors need to know about. What's
Yeah, I
going
mean,
on?
obviously we're focused on expanding the product. We're very judicious about how we expand. We don't want to expand too much. We never want to have so many villas that we can't maintain the quality of the product. But we have, in the last like month, and this was 2 years in the making. We just added villas in Niseko, Japan. So we have the ski villas now in Japan. We just added a beautiful villa in Greece. It's on the island of I have a hard time pronouncing it. Lefkada. It's a
Okay.
beautiful. I think I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful island in Greece. My Greek is terrible, and I found that out today because we did a presentation to a bunch of travel advisors live from the villa. So we just added that. We added Tanzania last year. We added Roatan last year. We added Scotland, and we are adding more villa product to Scotland. We added our first villa in Brazil. We've added a villa in Sweden. So we're starting to get to some more unique little areas that we really want to grow our business to. And that being said, we're always deleting and adding villas in in the destinations that you know of. The Jamaicas, the Italies, the Turks, Turks and Caicos. This one comes off, this new one comes on. But those are the new ones that have come on. And the one thing I would tell people, there is still availability for festive. I know we talked about it as being hot at the moment. Um, Please, definitely, travel advisors that are listening to this, you want to get to your customer now about Christmas and New Year's because you don't want to wait until the last minute.
Yeah, and it does seem like the calendar is slipping really fast these days. Like I can't believe we're at the end of Q1, but we are. So we're
It's
going to be at the end
unbelievable.
of
It's almost
Q2
April
pretty
Fool's
quickly.
Day,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then Cinco de Mayo, and then Memorial Day, and then July 4th. I mean, it's just crazy how fast life
Yeah.
goes. So,
Well, Steve, thank you so much for all those insights.
sure.
We're going to leave some information in the description here for advisors who want to check out all those new villas. But thank you so much. Really, honestly, such a pleasure to speak with you always.
Daniel, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having us, and thank you, travel advisors, for your support in business. Without a travel advisor, we wouldn't have a business. So thank you.